We live in a world where mornings are rushed, distracted, and mechanical. The alarm goes off, and we reach for our phones, not to connect, but to consume. Before our feet even touch the ground, our minds are already crowded with noise that isn't ours: emails, headlines, notifications, comparisons. But what if I told you that the first 60 minutes after you wake up could determine not just how your day goes, but how your life unfolds? Because your mornings are not just a time of day, they're a state of programming. You're either reprogramming your mind for growth or reinforcing your limitations. So today, let's talk about 6 morning rules that can literally reprogram your mind, not through motivation, but through habit. And along the way, I'll share 8 key insights that can help you reshape how you begin each day. There's something sacred about the early morning. When the world is still asleep, your mind is quiet enough to hear itself. The noise of the world hasn't yet invaded your thoughts. No notifications, no responsibilities pulling at you, no distractions begging for attention, just silence, the kind of silence that allows your inner voice to speak. Most people wake up and immediately step into reaction mode. The alarm rings, they check their phones, they read the messages, the emails, the headlines. Their day begins by responding to everyone else's agenda. But when you start before the world starts, you give yourself something most people never experience: ownership of your own time. Research from the University of Toronto shows that early risers tend to be more proactive, optimistic, and better at anticipating problems. But it's not because 5 a.m. has some mystical energy that guarantees success. It's because there's clarity and solitude. Those early hours are untouched by chaos. Your mind isn't yet clouded by opinions, comparisons, or demands. You're not being pulled in 100 directions. You're still. And in that stillness, something powerful happens. You begin to see yourself clearly. When you wake up before the world, you're not reacting. You're creating. You're creating the tone of your day, the rhythm of your thoughts, and the foundation of your mindset. Imagine walking into your day already centered, already clear on what matters most, already fueled by a sense of purpose. That's what happens when you start before the world starts. You move through the day differently. You're not chasing peace, you already have it. You're not looking for motivation, you've already built it. Think about the people who've built extraordinary lives: athletes who train in the dark before dawn, writers who pour their souls on a paper while the city sleeps, thinkers who use those quiet hours to solve problems no one else sees. They all share one thing in common: they start before others, not because they're superhuman, but because they've learned the value of an interrupted time. They've realized that greatness isn't found in the noise of the day, it's forged in the silence of the morning. When you start before the world starts, you gain something even more valuable than time: perspective. You begin to notice how calm the world actually is when you're not rushing to keep up. You feel connected to something bigger, to nature, to your thoughts, to your own sense of being. The sunrise doesn't just light up the sky, it awakens something inside you. That's why some of the most transformative ideas, decisions, and breakthroughs often come in those early hours. The mind, uncluttered and unhurried, becomes a space where creativity thrives. But let's be honest, starting early isn't easy. The bed is warm, the world is dark, and the comfort of just a little more sleep feels tempting. Yet this is where discipline becomes freedom. Because every time you choose to rise before the world, you send yourself a powerful message: my purpose matters more than my comfort. You're not just waking up early, you're showing up for yourself. And that single act, repeated consistently, builds self-respect in a way nothing else can. When you wake before dawn, there's a moment when you realize you're not competing with anyone. There's no traffic, no meetings, no social pressure. Just you, the quiet, and your vision for the day. That's where true alignment begins. You start designing your life intentionally instead of letting life design you. You decide what deserves your energy, what goals need your focus, and what kind of person you want to be before the noise of the world tries to tell you otherwise. Consider the story of a young entrepreneur who used to wake up late, always feeling like he was playing catch up. His days were filled with chaos, reacting to emails, messages, and problems that felt urgent but weren't truly important. One day, he made a simple decision to wake up 2 hours earlier. At first, it was painful. He struggled. But within a few weeks, those quiet hours became sacred. He used them to plan, to learn, to think deeply. Over time, his entire business and his mindset transformed. He wasn't just working harder, he was working from a place of clarity. That's the difference those early hours make. Starting before the world starts is not about productivity, it's about presence. It's about giving yourself time to meet your thoughts before the world meets them for you. It's about reconnecting with your why, your reason for showing up, for working hard, for trying again when it's difficult. Because in the quiet of the morning, the noise of doubt loses its power. You begin to remember who you are, what you want, and why it matters. And maybe that's why the most fulfilled people don't chase the day. They set the tone for it. They use the stillness of morning to build mental strength, emotional clarity, and spiritual alignment. It's not just about waking up early, it's about waking up on purpose. There's something deeply grounding about watching the sunrise while everyone else sleeps. It reminds you that no matter how uncertain life feels, the sun always rises. There's always another chance, another beginning. Every morning is an invitation to reset, to rewrite, to realign. So when you choose to start before the world starts, you're not just gaining hours, you're gaining yourself. You're building a relationship with discipline, focus, and peace. You're learning to lead your day instead of letting your day lead you. You may not see the results overnight. You may not feel different on day one. But with time, those early hours compound into something extraordinary. They become the quiet force that shapes your character, your confidence, and your courage. Because the truth is, it's not what you do when everyone is watching that defines you. It's what you do when no one is. The world will always reward action, but the universe rewards alignment. And the early morning is where alignment begins. It's where ideas are born, where self-belief grows, and where transformation quietly starts. So the next time your alarm rings before dawn and your mind whispers, just a few more minutes, remember this: you're not waking up to lose sleep, you're waking up to find yourself. Before the noise, before the rush, before the world starts, every morning, before the sun has fully risen, there's a silent battle that begins. Not on a battlefield, but in our minds, it's the battle for our attention. And for most people, it's lost within minutes of waking up. The moment the phone lights up, we reach for it instinctively. Messages, notifications, the endless scroll of other people's lives, all demanding a piece of us before we've even claimed ourselves. Research from Harvard reveals that this single act floods our brain with cortisol, the stress hormone that tells our body to prepare for conflict. It's no surprise then that so many of us start the day already exhausted, already defensive, already reacting to a world that hasn't even seen us yet. When you wake up and hand your attention to your phone, you're not just checking notifications. You're surrendering leadership of your mind. You are saying, tell me what to think about. Tell me what to care about. Tell me who I am today. And when that becomes a habit, you stop being the author of your story and start becoming a character in someone else's. The truth is, attention is the most valuable currency of our time. Companies spend billions to capture it. Algorithms are designed to keep it. Yet most of us give it away freely, without realizing we're trading our focus, our peace, and even our identity for the illusion of connection. The second rule, then, is this: rule your attention before it's hijacked. Protect the first 30 minutes of your morning like your life depends on it. Because in many ways it does. That window sets the tone for everything that follows. If the first thing your brain processes is noise, chaos, and comparison, you train it to live in reaction. But if the first thing it experiences is silence, reflection, and gratitude, you train it to lead with intention. One builds anxiety, the other builds strength. Think about this: when you wake up and immediately read an email or a message, your mind is already solving someone else's problem. You've become reactive before you've even had the chance to define what matters to you that day. But when you start your morning with space, a few deep breaths, a stretch, a glance out the window at the sky that hasn't yet been touched by noise, you give yourself the gift of clarity. You're no longer defending your peace, you're directing it. Try it. Before you look at your screen, look at your sky. Before you scroll through messages, sit with your thoughts. That small pause might seem insignificant, but it's the difference between being carried by the current and learning how to steer the boat. You begin to notice things: the sound of your breath, the warmth of the light through the curtains, the quiet hum of life beginning outside your window. In that moment, your mind isn't competing for attention, it's coming home to itself. And that's the thing, your attention isn't just mental energy, it's spiritual fuel. It determines not just what you see, but how you feel, how you act, and ultimately who you become. If you allow your attention to scatter across 1,000 distractions, you'll feel fragmented. But when you center it, when you decide, this is where I will place my focus today, you start living with purpose. The world doesn't slow down for you, you slow down for yourself. We often talk about time management as the key to success, but what really matters is attention management. You can't create more hours in a day, but you can decide how deeply you'll live each one. You can't stop the world from demanding your attention, but you can choose where to place it first. The great leaders, the great creators, the people who move the world forward, they don't necessarily have more time than you do. They simply master the art of owning their attention before the world tries to steal it. There's a story of a young artist who started each day staring at a blank canvas for 30 minutes before painting. People asked her why she wasted so much time doing nothing. She replied, "I'm not doing nothing. I'm listening." That's what the morning should be. Not a rush to react, but a moment to listen to your thoughts, to your intuition, to the whisper that tells you who you are before the noise tells you who you should be. When you start your day intentionally, you begin to notice how easily the rest of your day follows that rhythm. You respond to challenges with patience instead of panic. You listen more deeply, speak more thoughtfully, and make decisions from clarity rather than pressure. But when you start your day in chaos, every interaction becomes a battle for control. Every moment feels like you're catching up rather than creating. There's power in stillness, not the absence of movement, but the presence of awareness. When you give yourself 30 minutes of stillness before the storm, you don't just calm your mind, you strengthen it. You become the observer, not the reactor. You become intentional, not impulsive. And that shift can transform not just your morning, but your life. It's easy to underestimate how much this matters. It's easy to think, what difference can 30 minutes make? But 30 minutes is all it takes to remind yourself that you are not your inbox, you are not your feed, and you are not the sum of other people's expectations. You are the one who decides how your day begins and in turn how your life unfolds. So tomorrow morning when your alarm goes off, resist the reflex to reach for the glow of your phone. Instead, reach for the glow of your own awareness. Sit with your breath, stretch your body, or simply look outside and watch the light change. Let that be your first notification, a message from life itself telling you that you've been given another day to live it fully. If you win the battle for your attention in the morning, you win the battle for your day. Because attention is not just focus, it's freedom. The freedom to choose what matters, the freedom to decide how you'll feel, and the freedom to direct your life rather than drift through it. Protect it, guard it, rule it. Before the world tries to take it from you, we often underestimate the power of movement. We think it's about fitness, about sculpting a body that looks good in the mirror, about chasing numbers on a scale or tracking calories on an app. But movement isn't just physical, it's emotional, mental, even spiritual. It's the way our body speaks to our brain and reminds it that we're alive. When you move, you are literally telling your mind, wake up, you matter. There's something to do today. Most people wake up and immediately look at their phones. They check notifications, scroll through messages, and start reacting before they've even taken their first full breath. Their body is still asleep, yet their mind is already flooded with demands. No wonder so many people feel drained before the day has even begun. Movement interrupts that pattern. It gives you back control. It tells your nervous system, I'm in charge. Think about how children wake up. They don't need coffee or motivation videos. They jump out of bed, run down the hallway, stretch their arms wide, and throw themselves into the day. Their bodies lead their minds. They don't separate joy from movement. Somewhere along the way as adults, we started believing that movement was a task, not a gift. We made it about effort instead of energy. But energy is exactly what movement creates. Tony Robbins, for instance, begins every morning by shocking his body into life, jumping into freezing water or doing intense breathing. Neuroscience supports this. Movement triggers the release of dopamine and serotonin, chemicals that make you feel motivated, focused, and centered. You can't think your way into energy, you have to move your way into it. A few minutes of movement rewires your brain chemistry. It's nature's way of saying, you're built to move, not to sit and scroll. You don't need a gym membership or fancy equipment. You don't need to run a marathon or master yoga poses, you just need to move. 10 minutes is enough. Stretch your arms, roll your shoulders, walk briskly. Do jumping jacks. Dance to your favorite song like no one's watching. It's not about performance, it's about presence. It's about sending oxygen through your body, awakening the cells and reminding your heart that it still beats with purpose. When you move, you create momentum, not just physically, but mentally. That momentum carries into everything else you do. You'll notice your thoughts sharpen, your emotions steady, your ability to focus deepens. Because your body and mind are not separate systems. They are partners in the same mission. One ignites the other. When your body moves, your mind follows. There's a reason soldiers march before they go into battle. It's not just discipline, it's alignment. Their movement unites their bodies and minds toward one purpose. That's what you're doing each morning, preparing for your day's battles. Whether your battlefield is a boardroom, a classroom, or your own inner doubts, your body is the weapon that brings your mind to life. When you neglect movement, you trap yourself in stillness. Not the peaceful kind, but the stagnant kind. Your energy stays locked inside you, and your mind begins to fog. You become reactive instead of proactive, tired instead of ready. The human body was not designed to stay still for long periods. When you move, you release that trapped energy. You remind yourself that motion is life. Try this tomorrow morning before touching your phone, before checking the news. Just stand up and stretch. Feel your feet on the ground. Take a deep breath. Move your arms. Swing them wide. Feel your lungs expand. Notice the shift that happens inside you. That's your mind waking up through your body. That's you reclaiming your power before the world demands it from you. Many people say they don't have time to move, but the truth is movement gives you time. When you feel energized, your day expands. You get more done with more clarity and more calm. Fatigue steals hours from you that movement can give back. The return on those 10 minutes is exponential. I once met a CEO who said his best ideas didn't come from meetings or strategy sessions. They came during his morning runs. When I asked why, he smiled and said, because when my body is in motion, my thoughts are too. That's the secret. Movement clears the noise. It connects your conscious and subconscious. It creates space for creativity to breathe. It's the same reason great artists pace while thinking, speakers walk before taking the stage, and students stretch before exams. Movement prepares the mind to perform. It tells the brain, we're ready to create, to think, to act. Without it, even the most brilliant mind becomes sluggish. And it doesn't matter how old you are, how fit you are, or what kind of body you have. Movement isn't about ability, it's about intention. You're not doing it to impress anyone. You're doing it to remind yourself that you're here, fully, presently, powerfully. Your body is the doorway to your mind. You can't unlock your best thinking if the door is closed. You can't expect clarity to come when your body is still asleep. So move, even if it's imperfect, even if it's brief, even if no one else is doing it, because when you move your body, you awaken something deeper, the part of you that's ready to show up, lead, and live fully. Movement is not a morning routine, it's a declaration. It's your way of saying, I'm here to participate in my life. not just watch it pass. And the beautiful thing is, the more you move, the more life moves with you. You start to notice momentum everywhere in your thoughts, in your energy, in your confidence. The act of movement becomes the act of becoming. So tomorrow, don't wait for motivation. Don't wait to feel ready. Move first and readiness will follow. Wake up your body and your mind will awaken too. Because the moment you move, you remind yourself that you are not stuck, not powerless, not tired, you are alive. And that simple truth is what can change everything about how you start your day and ultimately how you live your life. Most people wake up and immediately feed their bodies a cup of coffee, a quick breakfast, maybe a scroll through social media. But while their stomachs are full, their minds remain empty. They fuel their physical energy but starve their mental clarity. And the irony is, it's the mind that ultimately shapes everything else. Our focus, our confidence, our decisions, and our emotions. What we feed our mind determines the lens through which we see the world. Every morning, we're presented with a choice to start our day intentionally or to surrender it to the noise of the world. Most people don't even realize how much that first input matters. The first thing you see, hear, or read sets the tone for your entire day. That's why there's a saying, the first voice you hear in the morning shapes the rest of your day. Because that voice becomes the background music of your thoughts. It decides whether your day feels like a battle or a blessing. Think about it. When you start your day scrolling through headlines filled with crisis and chaos, your nervous system is already on alert. You haven't even left your bed, yet you're anxious, distracted, and reactive. Your mind absorbs the world's noise before it has a chance to find its own rhythm. On the other hand, if you take even 5 minutes to feed your mind with clarity, reading a page of something wise, listening to something inspiring, writing down a thought that stretches your perspective, suddenly the day feels different. You start from a place of strength, not stress. There's something powerful about the quiet of the morning. It's a sacred space before the world starts demanding your attention, before your phone starts buzzing, before other people's opinions rush in. In that silence, your mind is open and receptive. It's the perfect time to plant the kind of thoughts you want to grow. Just like a garden, whatever you plant in your mind early will bloom throughout your day. If you plant chaos, you'll feel scattered. If you plant gratitude, you'll see beauty in ordinary things. If you plant vision, you'll move with purpose. The people who lead, create, and inspire at the highest levels all share one thing in common. They are intentional about what they consume in the morning. They understand that their mind is a muscle that needs nourishment, just like their body does. They don't wake up and hope for motivation. They feed themselves with ideas that create it. Because you can't pour out wisdom, focus, or peace if you don't first pour it in. Feeding your mind doesn't have to be complicated. It could be as simple as reading a few pages of a book that lifts your thinking. Maybe it's listening to a podcast that challenges you to see the world differently. Maybe it's writing one powerful sentence in your journal, a reminder of who you want to be or what matters most to you. It's not about the length of the ritual, but the depth of intention behind it. 5 minutes of truth can outweigh hours of distraction. There was once a young entrepreneur who told me he couldn't find time to read or reflect in the morning. He said he was too busy. I wake up and I'm already behind, he said. But that was exactly the problem. He wasn't behind, he was uncentered. The business wasn't the issue, the lack of grounding was. I asked him to try something simple, to spend just 5 minutes each morning before touching his phone, reading one page of a book that expanded his perspective. A month later, he said, "It feels like I have more time now." What he had was more presence. His mind was no longer reacting to the world, it was leading it. When you start your day by feeding your mind, you build a kind of inner armor. The world will still throw challenges your way, but you'll meet them with clarity instead of confusion. You'll notice that the same traffic, the same stress, the same people don't bother you as much. Not because they've changed, but because you have. You've already chosen the lens through which you'll see them. In a world that constantly competes for your attention, feeding your mind first thing in the morning is an act of rebellion. It's how you reclaim control from the chaos. Because here's the truth, if you don't choose what goes into your mind, the world will choose for you. And it will rarely choose things that help you grow. It will feed you comparison, fear, urgency, and noise. But when you choose your own inputs, you shape your own reality. Some of the most successful people in the world start their mornings not by checking what's urgent, but by reflecting on what's important. They might read philosophy, scripture, poetry, or science, not because they need to, but because it reminds them of something bigger than themselves. It lifts their thinking above the day's distractions and connects them with deeper meaning. That's the real nourishment. Ideas that don't just inform you, but transform you. Imagine starting your day not with headlines or notifications, but with words that strengthen your spirit. Imagine if instead of asking what's happening in the world, you asked, what do I want to bring into the world today? That one shift could change everything. Because when you begin your day with clarity, the rest of your day falls into place with ease. You don't need to wake up at 5 a.m. or read for an hour. You just need to choose one thing that reminds you of who you are before the world tells you who to be. One thing that fills your mind with light before the world tries to dim it. One thing that grounds you before life pulls you in 100 directions. Feeding your mind is an investment that compounds over time. One morning doesn't change everything, but every morning changes something. Day by day, you begin to notice your thinking becoming sharper, your mood becoming lighter, your decisions becoming more aligned with your purpose. The people around you may not know what changed, but they'll feel it in your calm, your confidence, and your clarity. The truth is, every morning is a blank canvas, and what you consume paints the picture of your day. If you start with noise, your day becomes static. If you start with wisdom, your day becomes meaningful. The choice is yours. Every sunrise gives you the opportunity to feed your mind before the world does, to pour clarity before caffeine, to choose purpose before pressure, and to remind yourself that you are not here to react to the world, but to lead it. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, reach for something that feeds your soul. Because what you give your attention to first thing in the morning becomes the foundation of who you are for the rest of the day. And when you feed your mind with clarity, your life will begin to reflect it. In the way you think, the way you feel, and the way you lead. Before the world starts demanding, deciding, and defining what your day should look like, there's a sacred moment that belongs only to you. It's the moment before the noise, before the notifications, before the rush. It's the moment when you can either be pulled into the chaos of the world or return to the calm within yourself. Most people skip this moment. They reach for their phone before they even reach for a thought. They start reacting before they even begin thinking. But what if the most powerful thing you could do for your mind, your focus, and your leadership was to do nothing at all? Intentionally. Stillness is not weakness. It's strength under control. It's not an action. It's the deepest form of preparation. Before you act, stillness gives you clarity. Before you speak, it gives you wisdom. Before you lead, it gives you peace. And without peace, even the best strategy eventually collapses under pressure. You can't think clearly when your mind is cluttered. You can't make wise choices when your emotions are running the meeting. And you can't be truly productive when you're running on reaction instead of reflection. The greatest leaders, the most creative thinkers, and the most fulfilled people in history have all had one thing in common. They guarded moments of stillness. They understood that silence isn't empty, it's full of answers. They knew that the pause before the action defines the quality of the action itself. Whether it's through meditation, prayer, journaling, or simply sitting quietly with your thoughts, the act of being still is the act of reclaiming ownership of your mind. In 2018, Harvard researchers discovered something remarkable. Just 8 weeks of consistent mindfulness practice changed the structure of the brain. The amygdala, the part responsible for fear and stress, physically shrank. At the same time, the prefrontal cortex, the area linked to decision-making, focus, and emotional regulation, grew stronger. Think about that. By choosing stillness, 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes a day, you are literally rewiring your brain to handle life differently. You're not escaping the stress, you're training your mind to meet it with composure. But stillness doesn't come naturally in a world that glorifies speed. We've been conditioned to equate movement with progress, noise with importance, and business with success. We check emails before breakfast, we respond to messages before thinking, and we fill every silence with scrolling because silence feels uncomfortable. Yet silence is where your intuition lives. It's where your deepest insights whisper, waiting to be heard. The truth is, most people aren't afraid of silence. They're afraid of what might surface in it. The doubts, the insecurities, the truths we avoid by staying busy. But those very truths are the ones that set you free when you face them. When you take a few moments each morning to be still, you're declaring something powerful. I am not my schedule. I am not my notifications. I am not the noise around me. You're telling your mind that you are in control, not the algorithms, not the demands, not the endless list of tasks waiting for you. You're setting the tone for the rest of your day. A tone of intention instead of reaction. There's a story about a CEO who started implementing 5 minutes of silence at the beginning of every team meeting. No phones, no notes, just silence. At first, people thought it was strange, but soon something shifted. The meetings became shorter, the decisions clearer, and the discussions calmer. Because silence had done what strategy alone could not. It aligned the mind before action began. You don't need an hour. You don't need a mountaintop or a meditation app. You just need 5 minutes to stop, breathe, and be aware. Maybe it's sitting at the edge of your bed before the day starts. Maybe it's sipping your coffee without your phone nearby. Maybe it's looking out the window and watching the sunrise without labeling it as time wasted. In those moments, you are not being lazy, you are tuning your inner instrument before playing the music of the day. Imagine your mind like a glass of muddy water. When shaken, everything is cloudy, unclear. But if you let it sit still, the dirt settles and the water becomes clear again. That's what stillness does. It clears the mental mud. It allows you to see what truly matters. Because clarity doesn't come from doing more, it comes from pausing long enough to see what's worth doing. And this is not just about focus or productivity. It's about emotional intelligence. When you start your day in stillness, you respond instead of react. You become the calm in the storm, not the storm itself. You listen better, you think deeper, and you show up for others more grounded. The world doesn't need more fast thinkers, it needs more clear ones. It doesn't need louder voices, it needs more peaceful ones. Every morning you face two choices: to let the world set your tone or to set it yourself. Most people hand over their mental remote control the moment they open their eyes. But when you choose stillness, you reclaim that control. You decide what kind of energy you want to bring into the world. And over time, that quiet choice compounds. You begin to notice that problems don't shake you as easily. People's negativity doesn't pull you in as deeply. Your energy feels lighter, your thinking sharper, and your direction clearer. Think about an athlete before a big race. They don't sprint at the sound of every noise. They wait, they breathe, they center themselves before the gun fires. That stillness is not idleness. It's precision, it's readiness, it's alignment. And that's what stillness does for your mind. It prepares you for the race, so when it's time to move, you move with clarity and confidence, not confusion and chaos. So tomorrow morning, before you open your phone, before you start planning, before you rush, just sit, breathe. Let your mind wake up before your tasks do. You'll be amazed how 5 minutes of silence can save you hours of scattered effort. The world will always demand your attention. It will always push you to hurry, to do more, to keep up. But your morning, that sacred first hour, is not the world's to take, it's yours. And the more still you can become in that time, the stronger, wiser, and more focused you'll be when the world begins to move. Because true leadership doesn't begin when you start acting. It begins when you learn to be still. We live in a world that glorifies business. We chase goals like trophies, stacking them higher and higher, believing that the more we accomplish, the more we matter. But the truth is, most of us aren't short on goals, we're drowning in them. We have fitness goals, career goals, financial goals, relationship goals, spiritual goals. Yet beneath all that ambition, many still wake up feeling lost, restless, or unfulfilled. Because the problem isn't a lack of goals, it's a lack of direction. Every morning, our minds wake up hungry for guidance. Before the day begins, before the world starts making demands of us, we have a choice to drift aimlessly from task to task, or to anchor ourselves with a single, clear intention. One thought, one purpose. Not 10 goals fighting for attention, but one intention shaping who we are as we move through the day. An intention is different from a goal. A goal lives in the future. It's something you chase. But an intention lives in the present. It's something you embody. It's not about what you're trying to get. It's about who you're trying to be. When you wake up and say, today, I intend to be patient, it changes how you drive to work, how you speak to your family, how you respond when things go wrong. When you say, today, I intend to focus, it changes how you show up in meetings, how you resist distractions, how you treat your own time. Intentions are not grand declarations to impress the world. They are quiet promises you make to yourself. Simple, personal, and powerful. You don't need to wake up and say, I'll conquer the world. You just need to say, I'll show up with calm, or I'll listen with presence. Because what truly transforms your life is not what you do once in a while, but what you do consistently with awareness. Think about a compass. A compass doesn't give you the map. It doesn't show every turn or obstacle, but it does something far more valuable. It keeps you aligned with your direction. You can get lost, take detours, or move slowly, but as long as your compass is set, you never truly lose your way. That's what an intention does. It doesn't tell you how your day will go. It reminds you who you are as you move through it. There will always be chaos. Emails will flood in, plans will change, people will frustrate you, unexpected problems will arise. And in those moments, goals can feel useless because they live too far ahead. But intention lives right here in this moment. It whispers, remember who you want it to be. That's the power of setting one intention. It grounds you no matter what happens around you. There's a story about a teacher who once asked his students to fill a jar with rocks, pebbles, and sand. When the jar seemed full of sand, he poured in water, proving there's always space for more, but that the order matters. If you start with sand, you'll never fit the rocks. If you start with what truly matters, everything else will find its place. And intention is that first rock. It's the thing you place first so everything else in your day aligns around it. Without it, you end up filling your life with noise and wondering why you still feel empty. The irony is most people set dozens of goals and still lack clarity. They achieve milestones but lose meaning. They tick boxes but forget why they started. But when you start your morning with one intention, your day gains coherence. Suddenly, every decision, how you spend your time, how you respond, how you lead, becomes easier. Because you're not acting from impulse, you're acting from identity. There's a difference between a day that happens to you and a day that happens through you. Most people live in reaction. They wake up, check their phones, get swept up by messages, news, and notifications, and by 10 a.m., their energy is scattered everywhere. But people who live with intention begin differently. They pause, they breathe, they ask themselves, who do I want to be today? And that single act changes everything. Science supports this too. Studies in neuroscience show that the brain's reticular activating system, the part that filters information, focuses on what you tell it to. When you set an intention, you literally train your brain to notice opportunities, behaviors, and patterns that align with that state of being. If your intention is patience, your brain looks for moments to practice it. If your intention is gratitude, it starts noticing things to be thankful for. Your attention follows your intention, and your reality follows your attention. This isn't about positive thinking or forced optimism. It's about leadership, the kind that starts from within. Because before you can lead a team, a business, or a family, You must first lead your own mind, and that begins each morning in the silence before the world begins with one simple decision: what energy will I bring into this day? You see, goals push you to act, but intentions pull you to grow. Goals can be measured by numbers, but intentions are measured by alignment, by how well your actions reflect your values. You might fail at a goal, but you can never fail at an intention, because it's not about the outcome, it's about the direction. There's a calm confidence that comes from living with intention. You no longer chase every shiny thing or panic when plans fall apart. You become steady, like a tree rooted deep enough that storms may bend you, but they don't break you. Because you're not driven by the noise outside, you're guided by the compass within. So tomorrow morning, before you touch your phone, before you write your do list, take a breath. Ask yourself not, what do I need to get done, but who do I want to be today? Then choose one word, one value, one intention, and let that be your guide. Whether the day brings success or struggle, hold on to it like an anchor. Because in the end, success isn't found in doing more. It's found in doing what matters with meaning, one clear intention. That's all it takes to change how you experience the world. Not by adding more to your plate, but by aligning more with your purpose. The mind doesn't need more goals, it needs direction. And when your direction is clear, even the chaos of life can't pull you off course. Gratitude doesn't change what you have, it changes how you see it. Most people wake up and immediately start scanning for what's wrong. The email they missed, the bill that's due, the mistake from yesterday that's still haunting them. It's almost automatic, as if our minds are wired to look for what's missing. And in a way, they are. The human brain has what psychologists call the negativity bias. It's an evolutionary mechanism that once kept us alive by helping us notice threats, dangers, and problems faster than anything else. But in the modern world, where we're rarely chased by lions or fighting for survival, that same instinct traps us in a loop of dissatisfaction. We don't look at what's working, we look at what's wrong. That's why gratitude isn't a fluffy morning ritual. It's not a motivational gimmick or a feel-good practice reserved for social media captions. It's a powerful act of rewiring your mind. When you consciously choose gratitude, you challenge that ancient bias. You take your attention away from the gaps and redirect it toward the gifts. And that single shift from lack to abundance changes how you show up in every area of your life. Think about it. The same morning could begin in two completely different ways. One person wakes up, sighs, and thinks, I didn't sleep enough, I hate my job, and I have too much to do. Another wakes up and says, I have a roof over my head, a body that works, and a chance to try again today. Both people might face the same day, but their experience of it will be completely different, not because of their circumstances, but because of their perspective. Gratitude doesn't erase struggle. It gives you strength to face it. Neuroscientists have studied this deeply. When you write down 3 things you're grateful for each morning, just 3, you activate regions in your brain associated with dopamine and serotonin, the happiness chemicals. Over time, this simple habit literally reshapes your neural pathways, training your mind to scan for what's good instead of what's broken. It's like turning on a light in a dark room. The shadows are still there, but you can finally see the beauty around them. It's easy to overlook this practice because it feels too simple. We tend to believe that big changes require big actions, new careers, new cities, new goals. But sometimes the most profound change begins in the quietest moments. A few sentences scribbled in a notebook. A silent thank you whispered before breakfast. A deep breath followed by the recognition that despite everything, you still have more than enough to be grateful for. I remember hearing about a man who lost his job during a massive corporate layoff. At first, he spiraled, anger, fear, self-doubt. But one morning, instead of scrolling through job boards, he started writing down what he still had. I have my health. I have a family that believes in me. I have skills that can create value. That simple shift didn't solve his problems overnight, but it changed how he approached them. Within months, he had started his own small business. One that not only supported him, but also gave work to others who'd been laid off. His life didn't improve because someone rescued him. It improved because gratitude gave him clarity, and clarity gave him courage. We often think gratitude is something we practice when things are going well. But the truth is, gratitude matters most when life feels heavy. It's easy to be thankful for abundance. It's powerful to be thankful in uncertainty. Gratitude doesn't deny pain. It reframes it. It reminds you that while you may not control everything, you can always control your focus. You can either focus on the storm or on the strength that gets you through it. One of the most humbling truths about gratitude is that it makes you present. When you're grateful, you stop comparing your life to others. You stop measuring your worth by what's missing. You realize that joy isn't found in achievement, it's found in awareness. Think of the last time you felt truly alive, maybe laughing with a friend, watching a sunset, or hearing your child's laughter. In that moment, you weren't chasing more. You were simply there. Gratitude is the art of returning to that place over and over again, no matter what life throws your way. There's a fascinating study from the University of California, Davis, where participants were asked to keep a daily gratitude journal for 10 weeks. By the end of the study, those who practiced gratitude consistently reported higher levels of optimism, better sleep, fewer physical complaints, and a stronger sense of purpose. Their external circumstances hadn't changed dramatically, but their internal world had transformed. That's the quiet miracle of gratitude. It changes the lens, not the landscape. And when you start your day from that place, everything shifts. You approach challenge with calm instead of panic. You see opportunities where others see obstacles. You treat people with more kindness because you're no longer operating from scarcity. Gratitude doesn't just change your morning. It changes your leadership, your relationships, and your entire outlook on life. It builds resilience because it reminds you that even in imperfection, there's progress. Even in chaos, there's something worth appreciating. Most of us are conditioned to wake up and immediately chase what's next. The next goal, the next milestone, the next success. But what if, before all that, you paused and acknowledged what's already here? What if success wasn't measured by how much more you get, but by how much more you appreciate? When you live that way, you stop running from your life and start living it. Gratitude is not weakness. It's not ignoring reality. It's facing reality with open eyes and an open heart. It's saying, yes, things are hard, but I still have reasons to keep going. And sometimes that's all you need to take the next step. One step that leads to another and another until you realize that your life, as imperfect as it may seem, is filled with countless moments of grace. So tomorrow morning, before you reach for your phone, reach for a pen. Write down 3 things, big or small, that remind you your life is not defined by what's missing, but by what's already meaningful. It could be the sound of rain, the warmth of coffee, or the love of someone who believes in you. Don't rush through it, feel it. Because that moment of reflection is more than a habit. It's a declaration. A declaration that you choose to see abundance where others see lack, that you choose to live fully, not conditionally. And if you practice that consistently, you'll notice something beautiful. The more you focus on what's good, the more good you'll find. The more you acknowledge what's working, the more things start to work. Gratitude doesn't change your life overnight, but it changes you. And when you change, everything else begins to follow. Here's the truth. The most influential voice in your life isn't your boss, your parents, or your partner. It's the voice inside your head. That voice decides how you see yourself, how you show up in the world, and how you respond when things go wrong. But for most people, that voice has become their biggest enemy. It criticizes, it compares, it condemns. You make a small mistake, and that inner voice says, of course you did. You always mess things up. You look in the mirror, and instead of gratitude for the life staring back, you see flaws, imperfections, and stories of not being enough. We forget that this voice isn't a reflection of truth. It's a reflection of habit. Every time we repeat words of doubt, we reinforce a belief. Every time we call ourselves lazy, broken, or unworthy, the mind listens. The brain doesn't argue, it obeys. What you tell yourself repeatedly, you start to believe. What you believe, you begin to live. The voice becomes your identity. And that's where most people get stuck, not because the world holds them back, but because their own inner dialogue keeps them small. Imagine speaking to a child the way you sometimes speak to yourself. You'll never make it. You're not good enough. You always fail. That child wouldn't grow, it would shrink, it would stop trying. Yet, every time you whisper those same words to yourself, that's exactly what happens to your potential. It shrinks under the weight of your own criticism. The world doesn't have to defeat you. Your self-talk already does. But the opposite is also true. When you speak to yourself with kindness, your brain rewires. Confidence doesn't come from achieving perfection. It comes from feeling safe in your own company. Think about elite athletes or top performers. They don't just train their bodies, they train their minds. When they fall short, they don't say, I'm terrible. They say, I'll learn from this. That small shift isn't motivational fluff. It's neuroscience. Positive self-talk activates the same parts of the brain associated with motivation and problem solving. It primes you to look for solutions instead of failures. Many people think being kind to yourself is weakness, that it'll make you soft or complacent. But the truth is, compassion is fuel. You can't grow from a place of shame. You grow from a place of acceptance. Think of a plant. It doesn't blossom because you yell at it to grow faster. It blossoms because it's nurtured, watered, and given light. You're no different. So start noticing how you speak to yourself. Not just in big moments, but in the small, invisible ones. When you spill coffee, when you forget something, when you look in the mirror, what do you say? Because those quiet words form the loudest patterns in your mind. And if you're always feeding yourself negativity, don't be surprised if your energy mirrors that back. Try this when that inner critic starts its familiar song, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, would I speak this way to someone I love? If the answer is no, then it doesn't belong in your self-talk either. Replace it with something true and kind, not fake positivity, but honest compassion. Say, I'm learning. Say, I'm growing. Say, I did my best today. These aren't affirmations, they're reminders of your humanity. Self-talk is not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing which reality to reinforce. The one that says you're never enough, or the one that recognizes your effort and growth. You can still hold yourself accountable without tearing yourself down. You can still aim high and be kind to yourself on the climb. Every major transformation starts in the privacy of your own mind. You can read every book, attend every seminar, and chase every external success. But if your inner dialogue doesn't change, nothing truly will. Because no amount of achievement can silence a voice that's determined to criticize. And no amount of failure can stop a voice that's determined to encourage. The people who change their lives are not always the smartest or most talented. They're the ones who learn to become their own allies. They talk to themselves the way they would talk to a friend in pain. They forgive quickly. They celebrate small wins. And they remind themselves that progress takes time. That's what builds resilience. So the next time you catch that harsh inner voice, don't try to fight it, guide it. Turn it from a judge into a coach, from an enemy into an ally. Because the words you say to yourself aren't just words, they are instructions to your soul. Your mind becomes what it hears most often. And when it hears love, it learns to trust again. It learns to rise again. It learns to become everything you were meant to be. So tomorrow morning, before you scroll, rush, or react, pause. Remember these 6 rules and these 8 truths. Start before the world starts. Protect your attention. Move your body. Feed your mind. Be still. Set intention. Be grateful. And speak kindly to yourself. You don't need a new morning routine. You need a new relationship with your mornings. Because how you begin your day is how you begin your life. And the person you become depends on the choices you make before the world even wakes up.